Mom, this is What Would You Say To Series 2 by Joshua Chevron. What would you say to federal opposition leader Anthony Albanese? Anthony, or Albo, you have a unique opportunity to become the next Prime Minister of Australia. You need to abandon the 4% of red voters that you try and hold in instead of being green voters. In doing so, you lose 10% to parties to your right. The maths do not add up, nor did the policies around green and climate that Bill Shorten took to the last election. You need to refresh your relationship with the working people of Australia and champion their issues and their needs. Through the COVID-19 crisis, we have seen a preparedness of the union movement to work with government, but realistically, you are the only potential Prime Minister who can create a long-term and sustainable relationship with the union movement. This is an area of sustainable competitive advantage for the Labor Party, which has been underutilised in the last 2 decades. Anthony, you need to relate to jobs. You need to relate to workers. You need to get away from pandering to green extremists. You need to look at opportunities for union members to get better jobs and have more certainty of employment. You can solve the deficiency in time that a number of people have in their jobs. The undercapacity or underutilisation of certain resources is a stunning area that you can make a difference on. You can start in the Eden Monaro by-election and put forward a positive series of solutions that are pro the economy and pro improving the lifestyles and standard of living of ordinary Australians. There is no point being pure in ideology when that ideology is only embraced by 10% or 15% of the nation. You need to get pragmatic. You need to understand the kitchen table budgets drive 65 to 70% of Australia. You need to forget about the ABC. It's a monopoly of guaranteed revenue in a commercial marketplace that will never be fully accepted by Australians because of the protected species standing that it has. Its agenda to the far left also leads it to be a source of ridicule for many. You need to position the industry super funds through IFM to look to privatise and take a minority stake in the ABC. This is a simple process you can undertake and have the capacity and influence to achieve and lead to the resolution on a very divisive point in the Australian community and in the Australian media landscape. Albo, this is an example of the areas you need to focus on where you can make a real difference. With the unions, with industry super funds, with working Australians who just want a fair go and some job security. If you focus in those areas and streamline policies to focus on jobs and opportunities for disadvantaged Australians and Australians in jobs that earn less than $150,000 a year, you will take a serious chunk into the much forgotten lower middle and middle class of Australia. You have always championed a death tax and were surprised that it was removed. Now is your time to advocate for tax reform in terms of an estate tax with a $2 million threshold, with all shares that become qualified and taxable on death not being realised but being transferred to the Australian Future Fund. There is no good reason that any young Australian who has ample opportunities at education, and if they have ample opportunities at jobs, needs a fat paycheck of more than $2 million when a parent or loved one dies. The reticulation of wealth and the disincentive to work that leaves for trust fund bludgers is another unacceptable outcome for an economy with only 25 million as an underpinning population. We need participation rates and we need productivity, Albo, and you need to put that high on your agenda. Are you considering paid school, before school care and childcare to enhance female participation and overall productivity in the economy? Are you looking to strike an accord-style agreement with the unions to come up with 3 job-related priority areas which can be the focus and can be executed in tandem? Are you mindful of the needs to get national skills aligned to economic demand? Are you aware that there is an undercurrent of disenchantment at immigration rates in Australia and declining GDP per capita? Are you aware there is a push for sovereignty issues to be addressed in Australia? And these concerns raised by the COVID virus are distinct, they are real, and Australians want them addressed. Your ability to come up with a strong sovereignty plan around export diversification, national skills, nationalisation, foreign investment, education are all areas where you can make a strong contribution. The Scott Morrison government will not allow you to do a Stephen Bradbury. You must get to the front based on policy initiatives that address the needs of the majority of Australians, and you need to sell it hard. Albo, there is no reason we can't have effective opposition with you as opposition leader. But you need to think policy, you need to think competitive advantage, you need to forget ideological nonsense like the ABC, and you need to massively get in touch with middle class Australia. This has been What Would You Say to Anthony Albanese, Series 2 by Joshua Chevron.